Vaporum, a grid-based dungeon crawler, will be coming to the Nintendo Switch on April 9th. However, thanks to Raymond with Joy-Con Gamers, I was able to get my hands on the game a little early. The game came out a little under 2 years ago on Steam and has a very bioshock type feel to it, being a steampunk game. The big question is, being originally intended for Steam, does Vaporum actually port well to the Nintendo Switch? The story of Vaporum actually starts off fairly interesting. You find yourself shipwrecked in the middle of the ocean, and right before you is a gigantic metallic creature. Now, being the very brave explorer that you are, you decide to go ahead and explore what is inside of this creature. Not something that I personally would do, but hey, this is a dungeon crawler. But after the initial scenes, it kind of seems like the story just kind of falls to an afterthought, relying more on the puzzles and the game mechanic than the actual story itself. That's not to say that the story will completely disappear. However, the majority of the story is just trying to find your way through this dungeon. You might get a snippet of narration here or there after you defeat a new enemy or you happen to solve a new puzzle. However, for the most part, Vaporum heavily relies on its gameplay. And the gameplay is where things start to fall apart. As I mentioned before, Vaporum was so obviously meant to be played on the computer, and the port to the Switch was not really mapped well for buttons. For instance, this is a grid-based game, so all your movement is locked to one step at a time, and with movement being controlled by joysticks, it's very easy to accidentally press left or right when you mean to go up, and I ran into this issue quite a bit. Now, this may not be too much of an issue when you're just trying to move around a dungeon and solve a puzzle. However, when you get into a fight with an enemies, it makes it even easier to get backed into a corner. One accidental misstep could end up actually getting you killed. And the thing that's frustrating is being a dungeon crawler, that means starting back from the last checkpoint. However, I can see where moving in the grid-based structure of Vaporum would be a lot easier on the computer because you would be using the arrow keys on a keyboard rather than the analog sticks on a controller. If this was all there was to the difficulty of controls, I might be able to overlook it. However, there are other things as well. It's very obvious with things like the menu and clicking the buttons on doors that this game was meant to be played with a mouse. If you watch gameplay from somebody playing this on the PC, you can see how much easier navigating the screen is versus the Nintendo Switch's version. Ultimately, the controls just feel really cumbersome and get in the way of the experience. Moving past just the controls, when it comes to the actual puzzles themselves, which are supposed to be the main highlight of Vaporum, I didn't find them particularly challenging. Yes, there might be a couple moments where you find yourself having to think through the puzzle, but there was never a moment where I really truly got stumped. You can currently pick up the game on Steam for $19.99. However, getting it on the Nintendo Switch will cost you an additional $5 at $24.99. However, if you like this game and you like to purchase it for your Nintendo Switch, you can pre-purchase it on the eShop right now for $19.99. Ultimately, I feel like it's just a shame because if the buttons had been mapped a little bit better, if there had been a little bit more thought into how they could revamp this game to work on the Nintendo Switch, I feel like this game would have actually been a success. However, with the difficulty I experienced with the controls, I do not know if I can personally recommend this game. And that'll do it for this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button down below. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you all in the next video.